What's up guys, Carmine here, back with another non-spoiler review for House of the Dragon, this time for episode 5, and as always, shout out to HBO for that review copy, you guys are awesome. Now of course this is the non-spoiler review so I can't go into too much detail, but a good chunk of what happens in the episode was already released in the promo material, so if you haven't seen some of the episode 5 previews, then go check it out and come back here. But once again, I can report with confidence that episode 5 was just as good, if not better, than episode 4. In fact, I would even argue that quite a few people will get more out of this episode than they did the last one. And it's fairly Velaryon-centric, so if you're a fan of Corlys and his family and would like to know more about them, you're in luck. Let's get into it. Before that, this video was brought to you by Raid: Shadow Legends, the fantastic dark fantasy RPG available for free on mobile devices and PC. Raid has been taking the gaming community by storm these last few years with millions of players worldwide and thousands of 5-star reviews. There's just no better time to be playing. Right now, the endgame content is on fire with the brand new dungeon, the Iron Twins Fortress, and the Doom Tower, a gigantic prison-like structure housing some of the game's most challenging enemies. In order to get to the top, you're going to need an army of champions, and you're in luck. Right now, you can use the promo code DK Rises to get a bunch of free gifts to help you level up and get into the fight sooner. And if you do, then be sure to pick up fan favorite Death Knight, who has now become Ultimate Death Knight. Everyone can get him for free just by logging in and playing Raid for 7 days between now and October 27th. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, that's okay, because if you click my link in the description below or scan my QR code on screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth over $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Tyrell, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. So what are you waiting for? Download Raid Shadow Legends now and find out what all the hype is about. I'll see you in game. So, like I said, the episode is fairly Velaryon-centric. Corlys was absent last time, but he's back this time around, and I think I like him better in this episode than I did in any of the times we've seen him before. Mostly because they always had him either petitioning for the crab feeder to be dealt with, or for the king to marry his daughter, and now that both of those plot points are out of the way, we actually get more of a character from him, and I'm enjoying it so far. Rhaenys, on the other hand, I'm still not feeling her character that much, and I'll go into why in the spoiler review, but if, you've seen her before, you've seen her here, there's not much difference, but I'll go into it. But we also get a lot more of an appearance from Laenor. We saw him in episode 3 during the Stepstones War, and his screen time was so small that it felt like a cameo, but here we actually get more of him as a character, and he has some good interactions with Rhaenyra that I liked. I also gotta give it to Ryan Condal for taking us to Driftmark, the Velaryon home, and giving that clan some extra love. And you guys know me, I love the attention to detail and the lore that goes into creating the setting and the characters, and they definitely delivered it here with this family. Though I will say, there is something about the change that he did make to the Velaryons that I want to discuss and how it relates to Westerosi society. I kinda want to save it for my spoiler review, but it is a topic that's been on my mind, and I'm sure it's been on everyone else's mind for quite some time, and it does have to do with how they stand out in comparison to everyone else, if you catch my meaning. More on that later. We also gotta talk about the extravagant affair that takes place this episode, and resist as much as you can to compare it to Game of Thrones' Red Wedding and Purple Wedding. Seriously, don't do it. And I say this because you'd be doing yourself a disservice. You just can't compare them. The Red Wedding, at a certain point, is part of the television history. Hell, I'd even say it's part of the cultural zeitgeist, kinda. The Purple Wedding, less so, but you get the point. And, by the way, Purple Wedding is Joffrey's wedding, in case you didn't catch that. But I just wouldn't compare them because it's unfair to House of the Dragon. And that's not to say this was bad. It wasn't. But the best way I can describe it is it's almost Tarantino-esque in how ridiculous it can get and how fast it gets. And I wish I could go back and say this about episode 1's tourney scene because of how quickly things break out there into brutal violence, that it almost felt like they got Tarantino to come in and do that scene himself. The only reason I know they didn't get him is because nobody yells a racial slur while they joust. But yeah, don't compare the two shows this time around. I know we always do it, but trust me, don't do it. It's just better that way. Oh, and of course, we finally get Alicent's green dress, so prepare for that. But yeah, I can't go into too many details considering this is the non-spoiler review, but what I can say is that you're tired of me saying it, but it has to happen. Once again, everybody did a good job, costumes on point, acting on point, and Ryan Condal continues to feed the book fans with lore bits, and I love it. He does it here. We get to see a certain family that we kind of saw in Game of Thrones, and we see them again. If you saw the promotion material, you know what I'm talking about. We see a bunch of this stuff. We see Daemon being Daemon again. He's still up to his shenanigans, and I love it. I'm all here for it. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I think Actually, no, I think he is my favorite character so far. So, but yeah, Ryan Condal continues to feed the book fans with lore bits, and I'm all here for it. He's like a mama bird, and we're all baby chicks, and he's just regurgitating all that lore into our mouths, and I never want him to stop. Just keep doing this one thing. Oh, and people keep asking me, is this the last time we see the young actresses for Rhaenyra and Alicent? And to that I say, I don't know, because there are some scenes that we got in promotional material and in the trailers that we still haven't seen yet, even with episode 5. Now, I don't know if the situation here is like what happened in Star Wars' Rogue One movie, where there were multiple scenes in the trailer that just weren't in the movie. The main example of this is Jyn Erso in the Imperial outfit, and as the camera pans in on her, she turns around, or when she's on the catwalk and the TIE fighter flies up to attack her. So I can't say for certain, but I feel like we're gonna get, going forward, after the time skip, maybe a scene or two of the young actresses during that time, but we'll have to see. But overall, I did enjoy this episode quite a bit. I'd say it's on par with the last two in terms of enjoyment, and I think you guys will too. And before we end the video, I did want to discuss one small detail House of the Dragon keeps shoving in our face, and I noticed that a lot of people in the community are divided on this. The dagger and the prophecy. The main complaint is that we know how it all ends, and it ends very poorly, and none of this even mattered, which is something someone in my comment section here, Jeremy Watson, who goes on to say, the prophecy didn't mean anything in Game of Thrones, so why does it matter here? And I kind of love this reply from Alfredo, who says, because it's, supposedly, something that factors into character motivations throughout the history of this world. It's just a layer that adds depth, or at least that's what it seems to be trying to do. And I agree with that 110%, and I would love for us to go beyond the Dance of Dragons timeline into Dunk and Egg and Robert's Rebellion territory, where the dagger's prophecy is something that keeps pulling this family into a dark path until eventually we get to the beginning of Game of Thrones. Kind of like the Baelet from Berserk, the dagger weaves fate around it until it reaches its faithful owner, and that's where it kind of sucks because that person is Arya. I love this idea that showrunner Ryan Condal is doing with the dagger by tying it to the Targaryen history, but at the same time it's difficult knowing that Bran ends up as king in the end and that Arya is the one who kills the Night King. Arya, arguably the worst character by the end of the show, and I know where a lot of the dislikes are going to come from now, from that sentence, but that's where I stand on that. But all that being said, this is why I think if we had another spin-off, one season, maybe two, set after Game of Thrones, we could fix a lot of the mess created by Dave and Dan on their way out. That's just my opinion. But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please leave your thoughts down below and let me know what you thought of episode 4 because I may feature it in my next video like I did here. Also, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps out a lot. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.